Alright, I am back with a Diablo 4 video, the game I am currently maining, as there is nothing happening in Destiny that is worthwhile. Sorry, Solstice. And the First Descendant, I'm going to pause playing until this patch in a couple of days, which is improving a lot of things, so what's the point of playing now? I wasn't really going to jump into this season, but I figured might as well, and as soon as you start slaying monsters for 5 minutes, you're like, oh, it's Diablo, oh, it's fine, okay. I want to talk a little bit about this season, and even though it's been a couple days, this will still kind of be first impressions, because I am not level 100. I know the real thing doesn't start until you're level 100, it's just, you know, that's kind of the philosophy with Diablo. Just keep in mind I am approaching this from, I don't want to say amateur, but like not the hardest core Diablo player, but also someone who has, I don't know, a couple hundred hours into Diablo 4 and has played every season, so maybe I'm somewhere in the middle. But if I get anything wrong, sorry. Okay, so I did a little bit of brief impressions when I was talking about splitting between all the games. That was like a little mini dungeon you would do where you sort of, it's just like kind of a normal dungeon, and then you pick little kind of sub-objectives of making it a tiny bit harder and then getting to the end and opening a little chest. I don't really understand the point of these as you progress later, because it doesn't seem like, unless I'm missing something, unless you get some currency I don't know about there, it seems like you're just doing the Infernal Hordes activity, which is something completely different. It's this wave-based horde mode thing. I think at the highest level, it becomes infinite, if I have that correct. I'm currently on tier 2, because tier 3 is at level 100, and I tried one, and I got demolished. Unfortunately, I keep getting tier 3 hearts and not very many tier 2 ones, so I've had a little bit of trouble actually getting into these. But this is the new central activity, and there's no like new mechanic that like dramatically alters your builds or gives you like crazy powers in this one. It's mainly just this horde activity. They do have a lot of new uniques and what are they called? Aspects that you can experiment with builds with. So those are permanent, and it's not really the same kind of thing as the temporary powers. I'm doing Necromancer just because I sort of rotate through one thing each season. I actually did 2 characters last season. I didn't finish the Rogue, but I was so impressed with the improvements they made to looting and upgrading and stuff that I played it a lot. And those improvements are still in place, which is nice. I just haven't really gotten to endgame builds yet. I am doing Minion Necro, which I was like, this time I'll do Minion Necro and I'll see it through to the end, and like it's just so boring. It's pretty helpful for this activity because it just, you have a million skeletons and a golem keeping stuff off of you, which is good, but it's so boring I might have to switch to something else. The build is not really even fully assembled yet. I keep replacing pieces and I don't have all the aspects yet, but that's what I'm using here. As you can see, this is a crazy activity in terms of mob density. Like, it is just probably the most mob density I have ever seen in anything, to the point where, like, yes, it's fun, but it's also just like such a blur and like a chaos that it's a little hard to even see what's going on. I think some of this is amplified by being Necromancer and having all these minions and having all these corpses spawn, and I think that just sort of adds to the visual clutter. What this activity is so the one I'm doing now is 6 waves, and again, I think you do higher waves and stuff as you play the highest tier one, but for now it's 6 waves, and you pick, each wave you pick sort of something to make it harder, but also something to make it more rewarding. This includes things like, you know, making minions stronger but getting more currency from them, making elites stronger but they blow up in an AoE and kill things. In terms of what I've found, there's one that lets you spawn Hellborn, which are the, you know, the tough elites that were introduced in whatever that season was, Hellborn season. I find those just like constantly spawn, and they give a lot of material. I had one time where I got like a double Hellborn spawn plus like I essentially got 3 Hellborn upgrades, so my entire screen was like Hellborn. and if you can fend them off, it's just infinite currency. I think I ended up with like double or triple the currency I normally get. And it's a little bit luck based. And then I know there are unique or legendary upgrades you can do, like one spawns like a demented version of the butcher. I saw that briefly and then I was already pressing something else and I'm like, oh no, I want to do that one, but I missed it. So I haven't actually fought him yet. I think he can drop special things. I'm not 100% sure. And then you go and fight the Fel Council, which is a group of 3 bosses that at my current level are not that hard. None of this is particularly hard at my current level because I am on level. You can use these little scrolls to upgrade your tiers to higher ones. This is far and away the best farm for essentially everything in the game. XP, you will blaze through, you know, if you're trying to power level to 100, this is definitely the activity that will get you there the fastest. I am clearly not power leveling, I'm just sort of playing normally, but, you know, I'm high enough and, you know, being under a week here. Tons and tons of XP from this, and by the end you get lots of loot as well. You choose between materials chests and then a gear chest. I've been choosing gear because I'm obviously still building things up for my character, but I think at a certain point you're going to want materials. I'm assuming those are like boss materials to farm those for uniques. I haven't even done it yet. And then whatever you've left over, you just put in the gold chest and it gives you some bonus gold. Again, like, this is the most rewarding thing in the game. You'll get anywhere from, you know, 10 to 20, depending on how many things you have, like 10, usually like 10 to 15 legendaries, and then they can be greater affixes, they can be uniques. Also, I've gotten a good amount of uniques from here. And I'm sure once you're at max level, this will be an even better farm. I know there's a chest that costs more that guarantees greater affixes. That's a thing. In the tier 3. So I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on this season. It's kind of just this one new activity and then a fairly good amount of new aspects and uniques and stuff. It's also probably hampered by me playing Minion Necro and that not being the most engaging thing in the world, but I think Bone Spirit is like the new cool thing to do for Necro right now, so I might switch to that. My main goal for every season is like to get to level 100, maybe get a couple uber uniques, and then at least complete the battle pass that I paid for. I've done that every season so far. Last season was easily the one I played the most. I don't imagine I will play this season as much as the last season, but you know, I'm gonna accomplish those goals and then return to my other games when I can. There's I think Wukong's coming out pretty soon. I want to play that. And this one, now Star Wars is later. That's later. So yeah. So do I recommend this season? You know, it's not the most compelling season, but because they have done all these upgrades with loot and stuff as of last season, the game is certainly more fun than it was at launch and for its initial 2 seasons. So it retains those upgrades, and you know, everybody likes their giant horde modes and stuff. It's just that this is like so chaotic and so dense. It's a little over the top, I would say. Like, even in a game about, you know, mob clearing and stuff, it's a bit goofy, but I know a lot of people will like that anyway. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.